Okay folks, buckle up. Tonight we're diving deep into the weirdest glitch in reality. From false memories to flickering timelines, we're cracking open the mystery of the Mandela Effect and asking the question no one dares to. What if it's not our memories that changed, but the universe itself? Get ready for a wild ride. The sky above the Arctic glows the colour of radio static, green, electric, alive. It's 2012, the year the Mayans warned would end everything. But instead of ending, something begins. Across the world, phones flicker, satellites skip like scratched records, and deep beneath Switzerland, CERN hums to life, an underground ring of magnets spinning particles to near light speed. At 3:14 a.m, sensors around the globe spike, a pulse through the planet's electromagnetic field. Scientists call it a global coherence event. No alarms, no explosions, just a subtle shift, a note added to Earth's invisible song. Days later, people notice the oddest thing. Lines from favourite movies aren't quite right. Logos look slightly off. Maps seem rearranged. They blame faulty memory, internet rumours, bad printing. But the feeling grows. Something changed. Not out there, but in here. Because what if these aren't mistakes in memory? What if they're ripples from a moment when reality itself stuttered? When two versions of truth touched edges and blurred together? Maybe it wasn't a glitch in the Matrix. Maybe it was a signal, a whisper from the fabric of existence saying you're starting to see the seams. They told us the Mandela Effect was just people misremembering. But what if it's the first proof that consciousness can feel the gears of reality turning? A pulse, a hum, a shift in the sky. Okay, before you grab your tinfoil hat and start checking cereal boxes, let's take a breath. Yes, CERN did power up in 2012. Yes, Earth's magnetic field really twitched that year. And yes, people online suddenly decided Pikachu's tail had vanished into another dimension. Now, does that mean we quantum jumped into an alternate timeline? Well, probably not. But here's the thing. Consciousness stacks up fast when you're looking for patterns. And sometimes the story those coincidences tell us is way more interesting than the truth. So, in this episode, we're following that story, the hum under our feet, the memories in our heads, and the strange possibility that both might be connected. Welcome to the Hidden Timeline. The Frequency Anomaly, when the planet began to hum. It started as background noise. In early 2012, scientists monitoring the planet's electromagnetic heartbeat, the Schumann Resonance, noticed something unusual. The steady rhythm that had held for decades began to rise. 7.83 Hz became 10, then 12, sometimes even 14. Official reports called it solar interference, flares from the sun agitating Earth's ionosphere. But in forums, meditation groups and late-night radio, people felt it differently. Dreams became vivid, time felt quicker. Emotions swelled and crashed like tides. They said Earth was raising its vibration, and consciousness was struggling to keep up. Fringe thinkers dubbed it frequency theory, when the vibration of awareness accelerates faster than matter can adapt. Reality doesn't shatter, it shimmers. Objects, memories, even history itself start to blur, like a movie running a few frames out of sync. CERN's experiments were ramping up around that same time, billions of collisions per second deep beneath Europe, echoing faintly through Earth's magnetic crust. To some, those ripples weren't contained, they were harmonized with the planet's field. A tuning fork stuck at the atomic level, and the whole world started to sing. Science says the hum was harmless, just weather in the magnetosphere. But for others, it felt personal. Headaches, insomnia, a static buzz in the bones. It was as if the Earth itself had turned up the volume, and human minds, being electrical too, were catching the feedback. Maybe the Mandela Effect began right there, not as an event, but as a symptom, the sound of perception stretching to meet a higher frequency. Because when the planet hums louder, consciousness can't help but listen. So basically, the Earth started beatboxing and humanity forgot the lyrics. Now, the Schumann Resonance really does fluctuate. Scientists track it all the time. But calling it Earth's vibration rising is a bit like saying your Wi-Fi is haunted when Netflix buffers. It's measurable, sure, but it doesn't mean that we're ascending to the fifth dimension. Still, I kind of love the idea. Imagine the planet literally humming louder, and we're all just slightly out of tune, mishearing reality's melody. Maybe that's why we remember Berenstein instead of Berenstain. Or maybe we just can't spell. Either way, it's a good reminder that even the most grounded science can sound mystical when the data starts to sing. And this song is only getting weirder. The Observer Effect. Reality watches back. They say reality doesn't exist until you look at it. It sounds like philosophy, but it's actually physics. In the quantum world, particles remain in a fog of potential until someone observes them. Observation collapses probability into presence. The act of seeing creates the thing being seen. But what happens when billions of people are looking all at once? The internet changed more than communication. It changed observation. Every trending video, every viral theory, every shared glitch in the matrix isn't just watched, it's witnessed collectively, and each witness adds weight. Fringe theorists call this the observer density effect, the idea that human attention is energetic. But when enough minds focus on an anomaly, the probability cloud thickens. In plain English, we don't just notice reality, we shape it, one shared memory at a time. Now think of it like this. 10 people remember the Monopoly man with a monocle. 1 million agree. Suddenly, that version feels more real because it's been observed into existence. The more attention the glitch receives, the more the universe has to accommodate it. It's why every Mandela Effect thread feels like a seance, a global summoning of forgotten timelines. Every Reddit post, every TikTok deep dive becomes another lens focusing reality into form. Science says we're just building better echo chambers, but to some, the internet isn't just a network, it's a quantum mirror, amplifying thought until it changes the image, staring back. Maybe that's the real experiment. Maybe every viral Mandela effect isn't proof of confusion, but evidence that reality is starting to notice us, noticing it. Okay, so apparently reality now has stage fright. Look, quantum physics does say that observation affects outcomes, but we're talking about subatomic particles, not cereal box mascots. Still, I love the idea that the internet has basically become a giant particle accelerator for belief. And we've built a machine that amplifies attention, and the more people focus on something, a theory, a glitch, a logo that suddenly looks off, the more it feels real. That's not quantum mechanics, that's just human psychology with a Wi-Fi connection. But maybe that's the point. Maybe belief itself is the experiment, and we're all unwitting test subjects trying to see if the universe will blink first. The CERN connection, the day the worlds touched. It's July 4th, 2012. Fireworks light up the sky, but underground, another kind of celebration begins. CERN has just discovered the Higgs Boson, the so-called God particle. For physicists, it's the missing piece of the universe. For conspiracy forums, it's the moment everything changed. Because hours after that announcement, people across the world started reporting something strange. Not cataclysm, not chaos, but displacement. Small things feel off. Movie lines, song lyrics, even the geography of entire countries subtly rearranged. And it all seems to trace back to that same moment the collider hit full power. CERN's mission was to understand reality by smashing its smallest building blocks, but what if, in doing so, it didn't just observe creation, it rippled through it? I imagine tapping a glass of water hard enough to send ripples through the entire pond. Now imagine that pond is space-time. Each collision inside the Large Hadron Collider births new energy states, harmonic vibrations that travel faster than we can detect. Officially, those waves are infinitesimal. Unofficially, they could echo into the quantum field that binds everything, from atoms to awareness. That's why some call CERN a cosmic tuning fork, a machine that taught reality a new note. And when the song of creation changed key, maybe some of us started hearing the wrong melody. To scientists, the Mandela Effect is coincidence. To storytellers, it's resonance. Because when humanity built a machine to look at creation itself, maybe creation decided to look back. So, CERN fires up a collider and suddenly Pikachu loses a tail. A coincidence? Sure. Convenient? Also sure. But honestly, CERN is the perfect villain for this story. It's mysterious, underground, and full of magnets doing unspeakable things to atoms. And reality is, CERN hasn't ripped open a wormhole. They're just studying particle behavior at the smallest scales. Still, you have to admit, the timing is suspiciously cinematic. It's like the universe heard, we're going to create the Big Bang, and thought, all right, but don't complain if things get weird. So no, CERN probably didn't merge timelines, but it did give us the perfect plot twist, a real machine powerful enough to make everyone wonder if it could. The human receivers, the awakening network. The story shifts from machines to minds. While scientists chased particles under the ground, something else was happening above it. A quiet synchronization spreading through the collective human brain. Across continents, researchers began noticing odd patterns. Groups meditating on opposite sides of the planet showed identical spikes in their EEG readings, bursts of rhythm that rose and fell in perfect unison. Heart monitors in separate labs began syncing. Global mood tracking software recorded waves of emotion sweeping across populations, sadness, or even joy, all timed to geomagnetic storms. It didn't make sense unless human consciousness was wired into a shared field, a hidden internet of thought connecting us all. Fringe theorists call it the awakening network, a consciousness grid that grows stronger the more we connect, dream, or remember together. Like antennas, our minds pick up faint signals from the same frequency band, a living energy that spans oceans, mountains, and time zones. And when the Schumann Resonance rises, that frequency strengthens. When billions of people meditate, focus, or even argue online at once, the field brightens. Maybe that's why the Mandela Effect doesn't spread like misinformation, it spreads like resonance. Because when thousands remember the same wrong version of reality, it may not be wrong at all. It's just coming from a different branch of the same shared field. We've built the Internet of Things, but what if we've always had the Internet of Minds? Maybe the Mandela Effect isn't a glitch in memory. Maybe it's bandwidth expansion. Humanity's perception upgrading to handle more data from the universe itself. A consciousness connection rebooting in real time, one collective thought at a time. So, if I'm getting this right, the theory says we're all basically living Wi-Fi routers. But it's a cool idea. There is real science behind global EEG coherent studies, but linking that to people remembering Looney Tunes wrong might be stretching the signal a bit. Still, I love the metaphor. Our brain is tuning into the same field, syncing up like an emotional orchestra. It explains why a viral moment feels electric, or why shared grief, like after global events, can feel physically heavy. Maybe we do broadcast emotion. Maybe thought really does travel faster than we think. And if so, maybe the Mandela Effect isn't proof of a broken reality, just proof that we're all on the same frequency. The time echo, memory from multiple timelines. Every choice creates a ripple, every decision a new branch of possibility. Quantum theory calls it superposition. Every version of reality existing at once until something or someone collapses it into a single story. But what if consciousness has begun tuning into more than one branch at a time? That's the theory behind the time echo, that the Mandela Effect isn't false memory, but memory overlap between multiple parallel timelines. Our brains, wired through the quantum fabric, might record impressions from every probable past. Normally, we only remember the version that stuck, the timeline that won, but now the veil between them seems thinner. You remember C-3PO with a silver leg. I remember him all gold. Both are correct in separate histories. Like static between radio channels, our consciousness is starting to pick up echoes from neighbouring versions of reality. Some researchers call this quantum bleed-through, a moment our perception widens enough to glimpse what's always been there. Others say it's the product of mass belief itself, a psychic fingerprint left behind by millions who once imagined another version of the past into being. Either way, it feels intimate. The Mandela Effect isn't just about movie lines or logos. It's about identity. It's about the uncomfortable idea that our memories might be postcards from other lives we never knew we lived. Maybe the past wasn't rewritten. Maybe, for the first time in history, we're remembering all of it. The composite memory of every reality humanity's ever walked through. And if that's true, then the real mystery isn't what's changed, it's how much of us still remembers the world before it did. So basically, we're all getting cross-wired between timelines, and that's why I can't remember where I parked. It's a fun theory though, the idea that every memory is an echo from an alternate you. That's equal parts creepy and kind of beautiful. It gives the Mandela Effect a poetic twist. Not we misremember, but we're multi-remembering. Now, science doesn't back this one up yet. There's no evidence we're tuned into other universes, but there is evidence that human memory is weird, elastic, and deeply tied to emotion. Still, maybe wrong memories aren't errors. Maybe they're whispers, reminders that our minds are bigger than one version of the truth. The Hidden Experiment, Project Looking Glass and Project Monarch. If the Mandela Effect began as a whisper, then this is where it becomes a classified file. Buried deep in the archives of rumour and declassified fragments lies something stranger than coincidence. Two names that keep reappearing: Project Looking Glass and Project Monarch. Project Looking Glass, according to those who claim to have seen it, was never about seeing the future. It was about viewing possibility. A massive ring device, eerily similar to the collider at CERN, that allegedly allowed researchers to peek into branching timelines. Each observation created interference, like ripples in still water. The deeper they looked, the more those ripples collided. And then there's Project Monarch. The name alone sends shivers through the conspiracy world. Officially, nothing like it ever existed. Unofficially, it's said to have explored the psychological effects of belief, how trauma, repetition, and narrative can rewrite perception itself. Monarch wasn't about controlling minds, it was about mapping them, testing how collective belief could bend the boundaries of shared reality. Now, imagine the two projects converging. A device that observes timelines, and a psychological program designed to steer perception. If Looking Glass revealed how consciousness touches reality, then Monarch revealed how easily reality can be rewritten by thought. Some say both programs went dark around 2012. The same year, the world's collective memories began to glitch. Coincidence? Or was the experiment never truly shut down? Maybe the Mandela Effect isn't random at all. Maybe it's the aftermath of a hidden experiment that never stopped running. An echo of humanity's first attempt to edit reality itself. And if that's true, it's not just our memories that have changed, it's who's writing them. Okay, so Project Looking Glass and Project Monarch, the conspiracy world's greatest hits. One allegedly looks through time, the other one rewrites belief. Put them together, and you basically got Inception meets Black Mirror directed by the Pentagon. Now, do these projects actually exist? Officially, no, but unofficially, there are enough rabbit holes to build an underground city. So, the idea that someone or something might have discovered how thought interacts with time is wild. What I like about this theory is that it reframes the Mandela Effect, not as an accident, but as a test, a side effect of us poking at reality's source code. If that's the case, maybe we're not remembering wrong, maybe we're remembering early. The Perception Singularity, when thought becomes reality. Everything converges here, from the hum of the planet to the hum of the collider, from shared thought to shared memory. It all points toward one idea, that consciousness and reality are heading for a collision course. They call it the Perception Singularity, the moment where thought and matter stop being separate things, where the boundary between what's real and what's believed finally dissolves. In physics, singularities exist where normal rules collapse. Gravity becomes infinite, light can't escape, and cause and effect blur together. But what if consciousness has its own version of that point? A mental singularity, where the collective focus of billions becomes powerful enough to alter the structure of reality itself. Every meme, every viral belief, every false memory shared by millions, each one is a vote in the quantum election of existence. The more people believe something, the stronger it becomes. Not because it's true, but because reality has to make room for it. This is the endgame of the Mandela Effect, not a glitch in the matrix, an upgrade. A test to see if humanity can handle a universe where truth is no longer discovered, but co-created. Because if thought shapes matter, and matter confirms thought, then the two will eventually merge, looping forever in an endless feedback of creation. The day that happens, when agreement outweighs evidence, we'll reach the Perception Singularity, a world not built on facts, but consensus. A universe that listens and answers. Maybe that's not the end of reality. Maybe it's the beginning of ours. So let me get this straight. Reality might just be one big group project, and the universe grades us on participation. Honestly, that tracks. If belief really can shape reality, it explains a lot. Politics, fashion trends, pineapple on pizza. But seriously, this idea, the perception singularity, is kind of poetic. A world where thought becomes matter, where consensus writes the code of the universe, is terrifying and beautiful. Because maybe the Mandela Effect isn't proof we're losing our grip on reality. Maybe it's proof we've finally got a hand on the wheel. And if that's true, we better start paying attention to what we believe. The quiet evolution. Over mountains of snow, oceans of static, cities glowing like neurons in the dark. Above it all, the aurora hums the same impossible green, the same hue that shimmered in 2012, the same sky that started it all. Maybe the universe never changed. Maybe we did. Because what if the Mandela Effect isn't about misremembering the past, but rediscovering the present? Each glitch, each false memory, each moment of collective doubt, maybe they're breadcrumbs, reminders that consciousness is still learning to see. Every civilization has had its moment of awakening: fire, language, flight. But this one, this quiet, invisible evolution, might be the strangest of all. We built machines to study creation. We built networks to connect minds. And somewhere along the way, reality started whispering back. Maybe we're not shifting timelines. Maybe we're expanding perception, finally noticing that reality was never one story, but a chorus of them, overlapping in perfect dissonance. The Mandela Effect might not be proof of a fractured universe. It might be proof of something far more extraordinary. But we were never just living in reality, we were helping it take shape. So, if the world ever feels different than you remember, maybe it's because it's waiting for you to remember more. You know, the more I think about it, the Mandela Effect feels less like a conspiracy and more like poetry. It's not about timelines or CERN or mass confusion. It's about perception. We're constantly rebuilding reality with our memories, our stories, and yeah, our Google searches. And maybe we've never been wrong, just incomplete. And the Mandela Effect is that strange, beautiful reminder that our understanding of reality is still in progress. So, whether it's a glitch, a shift, or just a really persistent case of déjà vu, I guess the universe just wants to see if we're paying attention. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this one. And if so, why not check this one out on screen now, CERN and the Apocalypse. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. And let me know in the comments below of videos you would like to see next time. Okay, my friends, be safe, and until next time, stay curious.